Good afternoon. Thank you for coming and welcome to the Spotlight on Local Leadership panel. This event highlights community members in leadership roles within the professional services industry. The panelists today will share their journeys as leaders in both business and the community, discussing how they got started, what motivates them as a leader, the keys to their success, and more. This will be predominantly a question and answer forum. I am pleased to introduce to you in the middle, Josh Peavy with Ace Electric. Josh works for the Ace Electric, overseeing the pre-construction department. He is a 2009 graduate from Ogeechee Technical College and holds a Georgia unrestricted electrical contractor's license. He has been in the electrical field since 2005, focused mainly on commercial electrical installations, and lives in Statesboro with his wife Chelsea and 3 daughters. Thank you for being here, Josh. And I'm also pleased to introduce to you on the far right, Bubba Hunt. Bubba is the top-ranked broker and owner of RE/MAX Eagle Creek Realty in Statesboro, with national recognition and reputation for integrity and results. Bubba was named the 2015 Coldwell Banker North American Rookie of the Year and ranked #5 agent in the North America just 2 years later. He is an entrepreneurial leader and founder of multiple successful ventures, including Motto Mortgage Turnkey, Bubba Golf, 6 Airbnb properties, and Pine Needle Plantation event venue. Bubba is a community-focused, lifelong Southeast Georgia resident and deeply rooted in faith, family, and service. He works alongside his wife Kim and their children, Madeline and Matthew, in family-run businesses. And finally, on the far left is Mark Anderson. Mark is one of the owners of Joyner Anderson Funeral Homes located in both Statesboro and Sylvania. He is a graduate of Georgia Southern with Business Administration in 1985 and a graduate of Ogeechee Technical College from the Funeral Service Program in 2003. He is a past chairman of the board of the Statesboro-Bullock County Chamber of Commerce and currently serves on the Ogeechee Technical College Board of Directors. He also currently serves as a member of the Board of Directors for Morris Bank and is past president of the Independent Funeral Directors of Georgia. Mark has 2 children, Morgan and Allison. Thank you for joining us today. And if at this time, you could each please give the audience a brief account of your personal journey, and Josh, we'll begin with you.
Hey, can y'all hear me? So my name is Josh Peavy. I grew up in Statesboro. I've always been a resident. Went to Statesboro High School. Graduated the electrical program here at Ogeechee Tech in 2009. Worked with electrical contractor in high school through college, and am currently still in that position. We do commercial electrical projects. Some of you may be familiar with, like the In-Market Arena, the Children's Hospital in Savannah, Pooler Police Department, all these warehouses you see going in up and down the highway. It's primarily what we focus on. I've worked in the field, installation side, up into project management, and now I run the pre-construction department at our office. We basically do, I do all the buyouts, the middles, all the releases, material procurement, and that's what my primary responsibilities are.
Thank you very much. Mark?
Yeah, I'm Mark Anderson. Like she mentioned, Joyner Anderson Funeral Home here in Statesboro. It started Georgia Southern, a few years ago. Graduated in '85 and did the official thing. You leave, and we went to Atlanta for about 5 or 6 years. Enjoy living up there, but wanted to get back home to Statesboro. Moved back here to Statesboro, and then 1996 we opened the funeral home. And at that time, there was only a funeral service program in Atlanta. So during that time, Steve Deraney was the president of Ogeechee Tech at that time. And so, unbeknownst to me, I was actually helping, trying to get him to start a program here at Geechee Tech, and so was Barry Turner, who actually still works the program here now. And both of us worked separately, and then we established a program in 2000 for the funeral service program here at Geechee Tech. So I was one of the first members of that class that graduated, because I couldn't go to Atlanta because I had a family and busy working full-time at a funeral home. So went and did that, and then from there, that point on, we opened the funeral home. And at first, we had some other investors with us. In 1999, Tracy Jordan and myself purchased everyone else out. And then we added another location in Waynesboro at some point, and then we added a location in Sylvania. And then we also had we had a crematory and a cemetery here in Statesboro. But luckily, this past year, 2025, we sold the company to a firm out of Savannah. Because as you can tell, I'm getting old. Not as old as Bubba, but I'm getting older.
I just look older.
But so we sold out, but we're still actively employed with the company and plan to do so because we, as you probably know, this business is very focused on families and friends in our community. I see a bunch of y'all here now that we've helped over the years, and so we're still very involved, and we meet with families and we still handle funerals and stuff like that. It's just all some of the operations we used to do, we're not there anymore. Thank goodness, not paying bills anymore and writing checks and payroll taxes. But it's been a great run, and we really enjoyed working in the community, and pleased to be here today as well.
Thank you. Bubba?
I did bring some notes because so I'm from Hinesville originally, but I did move here in 1989. I went to Georgia Southern. 2 semesters, I passed 2 classes, and that was bowling and tennis. I didn't do too well with the education side of things, but I did decide to get into business for myself in 1992, and I opened up, the original store I had was a pawn shop called Security Gold and Tropical Fish. And probably most of you don't remember that, but I used to have a pawn shop and a pet shop. And I did that for about 5 years and then decided to get out of the pet business. And so I had Security Pawn, which we then later changed to Pawn City, me and my brother, Tommy. And before we kind of started getting out of it, we had 11 locations. Statesboro, Metter, Claxton, Glenville, Jessup, Hinesville, so we were kind of spread out. And I just loved dealing with people, and that's where it all began. And in the middle of all that, before I got out of it, I owned a company called the Sound Shop, where we did car audio installations. I've owned Furniture Etc., Antiques and More, Atlas Paging, Car City, which probably set me to my fame here in Statesboro with the commercials we used to run. I owned Papa Murphy's Pizza. I had an Allstate insurance office. Currently, I own Remax Eagle Creek Realty. I own Motto Mortgage Turnkey, which is a mortgage company that kind of goes hand in hand with our real estate office. I own Pine Needle Plantation with my wife and my daughter, which is a wedding event venue out there in Register. I own Eagle Creek Construction, which is a construction company. I typically build about 20 houses a year. I own my latest, I did own Butts and Brews Barbecue too. And I was in the Airbnb business. I had 11 homes, and I'm down to 2 right now. I kind of saw the Airbnb business turning over the last 24 months, and I think we got oversaturated in our market. And I just decided to start selling them while I had a good opportunity, and I'm down to 2. And then our last claim to fame is Bubba Golf. I used to be in the golf shop business when I had my pawn shops on on Vine Street, and I built golf clubs for people, and it's just called Bubba Golf. And I did that for several years, and then just decided to get out of it, but then got hooked on golf again about 3 years ago. And we had nothing in Statesboro for people to get their clubs repaired or get grips or reshafting or buy new clubs. And man, that has turned into one unbelievable business. We got simulators in there. We sell every major brand of golf equipment, which is pretty phenomenal for a small independent like we are. But we did start this with some other people that came in. I had a lady come in from Nine Line Apparel, and that did a lot of their online sales. So she came in hoping that we could take this startup to another level, and we're working on it. So that's what I do. I do everything. I am an entrepreneur, and I am a risk taker like no other you've ever met. And some of my things are successful and some are flops. But the thing about me is I'm not scared to try. And if you want to be an entrepreneur, you cannot be scared. But I can give you a lot of advice on what not to do. So,
Well, with that, we'll go to questions in the audience. Does anybody have a question they would like to ask our panel? We got one back here in the corner. If you could just give her a second to get over there with the microphone.
All right, so this is my question for you. As times change and the longer you guys are in business, how do you keep up with the changes and trends, and especially bring it to the younger generation? Things change. How do you guys keep up with that?
I have my kids. I mean, they help tremendously, especially with social media. I mean, my kids are constantly, of course, that is what has happened to our society, where everything has gone to social media almost. But we keep up with a lot of that, and you hire the right people to help you see those things. Sometimes it works, again, sometimes it doesn't, but you got to stay on top of things.
I think what we do mainly is that, people think of funeral service, they think, well, nothing ever happens there. But it's very, very active. We're very involved in everything that we do. We definitely hire younger people for us, and one of our other partners is Bland Matthews, and so he's a younger guy. Thank goodness he can fix about anything with IT, and also we have other people that help us out. But we're very much into going into meetings and conventions, and people are our peers, and we have peer groups that we do a lot of that with that. But the conventions help us a lot, nationwide conventions where we can go and see what's changing. And people don't think things change, but there's been a lot of change in our industry the last 20 years especially. So we've been very aware of that, but that's how we keep up with everything that we do, is being focused and not being hidden and staying in a hole somewhere.
Yeah, I would say the same thing on the construction side. I mean, a lot of our workforce we're seeing are the older generation that has a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience, but they're starting to retire, starting to get some age on them, and the new people that are coming up are young. We actually have Ace Electric is a company. We actually have a apprentice program. We have what's called Ace University, which is actually a leadership program. We actually send our guys to when you hire on your first 40-hour work week is you go to our main facility down in Valdosta and spend a 40-hour week on learning our safety practices, just typical stuff that the older generation may have known, but the 18-year-old kid or whoever it is, they've never been on a construction site. They've never been around heavy equipment. They've never worked out of a lift, and kind of educate them into what we do every day. And on the technical side, which is where everything is going, especially in construction, it's actually amazing to see how the younger generation picks up on the newer, faster ways to do things, which actually is a benefit too. So,
Thank you. Another question?
What would be the number one thing you would look for in employees that each of you would hire for any of your businesses? If you had to pick just one, what would the top thing be?
can they show up on time? Yeah, I mean, there's so many different people and backgrounds and there's plenty of work out there for people, but I would just say showing up's the first thing. We're putting a lot of stuff in place to train people, teach people how to do the work, but they got to show up.
You have that problem too, huh?
Yeah.
Dependability is huge. I mean, it's huge because especially when you own a small business, if you're expecting this part-time employee to be there at 9 a.m. to open the doors for the public, and they went out the night before and had a good time and decided they were going to sleep in this morning, here you are with your small business that the doors aren't open, which is a big problem. So dependability for us is everything. And then the second thing we definitely look for, and I know maybe some of y'all are familiar with this because through Leadership Bullock, we did the DISC model, and I look for high I's in sales, which is personality. Those are two things I look for because you got to be able to sell, and people need to like you in order for you to sell to them. And so those are two things that definitely we look for. But dependability in today's society, unfortunately, there's a lot of kids that don't get the work ethic at all. It's hard to find them.
I think with us, apparently, according to our business, it's how you present yourself. I mean, how you present yourself when you come see us. Any interview for a job or whatever, or how you present, how you come in. Because if you come in looking like a slob, you're a slob. And I don't want to, we can't have that in our industry because that's how we are. And education, as theirs is too, education is very, very important to us because we are very regulated by the state of Georgia. We have licenses, a lot of licenses to handle on our funeral side of the business. Funeral service, embalming, crematory, cemetery, everything's heavily licensed, regulated by the state of Georgia. So we have to find people that actually are, can go to school and pass and come see us. And we do a lot with Get You Tech, with the funeral service program, of course, because they train people to come to work in the funeral service. And we help that with clinicals and stuff at our site. So we're exposed to a lot of employees, our students that come through, and we know, pretty much when a student's going to be a good employee at a funeral service because they can handle it. And it's a very different business, and it's not very easy, but I think presentation, education is what we're looking for. That's very important to us.
Thank you very much. Do we have another question?
Come on.
I noticed that our panel consists of 3 males. So I'm curious to know, how do you balance being highly driven and committed to your work while also prioritizing and maintaining healthy relationships with your spouses, friends, and family, especially if they're craving more of your time?
It's a juggling act for sure. I've obviously a little bit younger here, so so I don't have the experience these guys have, but I actually have. I've been married for 13 years. I do have 3 girls, 10, 7, and 5. So there definitely has to be some balance between work responsibilities and then dad responsibilities or husband responsibilities. But it's a balancing act for sure. My wife is a real estate agent. She owns her own business, so she is a working spouse. So she has her responsibilities and obligations as well, and it's a lot. I mean, but you do have to find balance.
I think in my world, it's like these guys. You start a business, and usually what gets hurt the most is your family life, because you're spending every day, every minute trying to build a business and to maintain and survive, and that's very, very, very tough on a family, and it's very difficult to find that balance. Thankfully, I'm past that, and I have grandchildren now, so it's much easier with grandkids. I got 3 granddaughters along the way, so that's a much easier path for me. Just say, hey, I'm tired. You take the baby, I'm gone. So that's a lot better. But it's been a struggle in any industry, especially funeral service, about that. I mean, about family, and because you're dealing with families every day, and you're trying to take care of your family. And a story we told the day, my daughter actually said, she goes, "Daddy, we never knew about a vacation until the morning of." I said, "Yep, that's when we took it aside to go on vacation, because we couldn't plan anything until the morning of." So it's a tough balance, and you got to maintain it.
Well, those that know me, probably, if you do know my wife, she's a great woman. Because she has put up with a lot for me. I mean, I'm a worker. I'm a workaholic, but she has been, let's see, she was dating me. We've been married 30 years. I'm 55, not 35, 55. But we dated for 5 years. So she has been with me before I ever started my first business. And so she didn't come into something with a shock. She's been there since day one. And she's embraced what I do. I do try to when my kids were growing up, I coached every sport that they played in. I was their head coach. So I made sure that I spent time doing that. Now, I was fortunate that they were going through this before I got into real estate, because I think Josh would tell you that real estate will control your life if you let it. Your phone rings 7 days a week. Last night, I turned a call down that called me at 9:15, and I didn't answer, and they turned around and called me at 9:17. And I just have kind of put a stop on that kind of stuff. I'm not going to be taking calls at 9 o'clock at night unless it's an absolute emergency. But with real estate, it doesn't matter where you go, where you're at. You can be on your boat enjoying time at the beach or in the lake, and if that phone rings, unfortunately, you have to answer that most of the time, because it's typically somebody calling you about real estate, unless it's been the last 6 months, and I have been approved for a $60,000 loan about 170 times, and I get spam calls at least 10 to 15 a day. And I don't know how many of you experience that, but it is very frustrating, especially when you're in the real estate business. But with the other businesses, I have good people working for me. I feel like I do. And if I don't have a good person working for me, I usually hear about it, because I know so many people. They will say, "Bubba, I went to your store today and they said this, or they did this, or they didn't do this." And I do address that stuff immediately. And so I try to put good people in place to handle situations so that I can enjoy free time. I did go to the Masters yesterday, and if you don't know this, you cannot even carry a cell phone in there. So I had to cut my phone off at like 6:30 that morning, and wasn't able to turn it on to 4:30 that afternoon. As much of a love-hate relationship as that was, it was actually pretty darn nice not to have to answer phone calls or worry about who was calling me. But you got to spend as much time with your family as you can to offset the days that you can't be there. And there's been many a day that I get up at 4 o'clock to go to work, because I can get more done from 4 to 8 than I ever can get done from 8 to 4. And so I get in early, and so I try to do that. So my wife's still sleeping. She loves sleep. And then I come home at a decent time, usually 6 or 7 o'clock at the latest at night. But you just got to have an understanding spouse that as long as she knows or he knows that you're out there grinding as hard as you can for your family, they typically understand that.
Thank you very much. Do we have another question?
First, Bubba, I might need a new driver soon, some golf coming up. But I'll make it quick, maybe just no to the question, but AI technologies is impacting a lot of businesses, and a lot of businesses are using AI technologies to automate their purchasing and their marketing and their sales. And I didn't know if any of you are using AI technologies. I was wondering if you're using it, and is it impacting your businesses?
I'll go first. I love AI. Is it dangerous? Absolutely. But let me tell you, I wrote a company policy employee manual. Well, I didn't write nothing, actually. I just put in a few key words and had an employee manual for my golf shop in 5 minutes. And then we could tweak it. And then, the technology with that is something that you would have had to pay someone to do that would have taken 3 or 4 weeks 6 years ago. And so with that, it is awesome. I've never had, in all of my businesses, and I've had a bunch, me having an issue with an employee that I felt like should have been in some kind of policy has happened to me once. Once. And that's because of the people I hire, I think, most of the time. But this one came from a corporate background, and she questioned, or he questioned, many things that I felt like, okay, it's time to get a policy in place for this. And I mean, we were able to do it like that. It was amazing. When we go to creating graphics now for marketing, man, AI can do that in 10 or 20 seconds. What would take, so when I created my Bubba Golf logo, I'll just tell you this real quick. I had this vision one night. I got out of the restaurant business, thank goodness, and my wife was so happy, but I decided to open Bubba Golf, which she was happy it wasn't another restaurant. So I sat there and got on Fiverr one night and said, create an image of me, sent my picture to this guy in overalls and said, I want him swinging a golf club with a goat in the background. And people ask me all the time, what is the deal with a goat? I go, exactly, man, that's it. It's just a goat. But, and I had to tweak that for about 3 or 4 days before we got it right. And I only spent about $120. And I sent it to 2 or 3 different guys on Fiverr just to see if they could help me. And this one nailed it. He nailed it. Man, I can do that on AI now. I changed the graphic the other day with the goat face, like holding a golf club. It took 30 seconds. And you know how much it cost? $20 a month. That's, if you're not paying for the upgraded version of ChatGPT or Grok or whatever, you need to do that because but just with things like that, just with, if you're going to post something, what is the best way to post it? Hashtags. Man, it does all that for you. It's truly amazing now that with AI. I mean, it really is.
Yeah, I would speak the same way. I actually do a lot of the social media stuff for my wife's business. She's in real estate as well, and
Which she's
it's pretty amazing.
She's a phenomenal agent.
It's pretty amazing what you can do and how quick you can do it. Now, the flip side of that on the construction world is I don't think AI is going to put in conduit or lights or receptacles. So there is, a still high need for labor and qualified labor, dependable labor. Just to throw some numbers out, we right now we have 7 offices, and we got Ohio, Statesboro, North Carolina, Valdosta, Texas, and Kentucky. We're kind of all over. And out of Statesboro, we handle basically Savannah to Augusta area. Company-wide, we got right at 1,300 employees right now. By the end of this year, we're projecting that we need 2,000 employees. So we've got to find 700 people between now and the end of the year based on the work that we're planning on getting in our backlog. So there are people that come in with resumes that are very AI generated, and I'm like, there's no way you actually put that on paper or that you're qualified to do the stuff you're saying you're qualified to do. So that part you have to be careful with. But outside of that, it is a pretty amazing tool. We use it a lot in construction design. We actually have goggles you put on. You can be looking at a piece of dirt, and you can put the goggles on. It'll show you what that room's gonna look like as a finished product. You can pull back layers and see the studs. You can see the conduit, how it needs to be routed, where your floor boxes need to go, and all that's AI generated stuff. So it's definitely, it's a huge tool for sure. Yep.
So I teach math, so I have a question, and I have, so my question is this. So our students all have to take most of them have to take a math course. And so obviously we're probably the most hated teachers on campus because they don't like math, obviously. And so my question to you is, since you're in the electrical business, construction in general, but I'm assuming that like project managers have to be able to project what they're going to use, how many pipes, different things for jobs. Are you finding that mathematically that they're able to truly estimate and give you the math back that you need for those jobs to do that job?
So we, when we take a job off, when we are bidding it, there, you know, we do a rough, not as detailed takeoff as we would if we actually are awarded the job. Some of the bidding side is, going back to AI, is going towards that, where you can upload a plan and it'll take everything off for you. We have not trusted that yet to put a number on a piece of paper and send it in and be confident in that. But when we are awarded a job, we do what's called a construction takeoff, where we take off every room, every device, everything, very math involved, of all your material quantities and everything. That goes into a production tracking system that we have, and we can tell you down to how many feet of conduit you should be running each hour to keep up with what the production logs say you should be doing for us to meet our man hours on the project. And yes, 100%. I mean, we do a pretty detailed takeoff, and it basically tells you every part and piece of that job.
Do we have another question?
How important are relationships, building relationships and maintaining relationships in your success?
That's the easy answer for me. That's our business, period. I mean, without that, we have nothing. We have to meet families and deal with families every day of our life, and that's the most important thing that we do, because they're going to use us again and again and again if they've had a good experience. And to get to that point, they come to us at their worst possible time in their life, and they count on us to get them through the next process. And some families are different. Thank goodness everybody's different, because it'd be crazy if everybody's the same. But some families are very, very, very needy, and some are not. And some are very just, families have a lot of difficulties internally, and they come to us, and everybody has their own opinions, and they want this, and they want that, and trying to get all those ideas into one thing to try to focus the family to finish up a service, to have a funeral for the person or not. That's our job, and we have to do that, and it's not easy. You ride the fence more than anything else you're doing every day, because families have issues. Y'all know that. Everybody has issues in their own families. It's just a matter of trying to recognize that and find a way to get to that process. And you have to learn the people in the room, because everybody has a different opinion about everything, and you can't, unless you know the person personally, you've got to, in a few minutes, you got to analyze that person and say, hey, this guy is serious, or this lady is really upset, or this, you know, it's what kind of thing you're trying to work with here. So that part's been very difficult, and it's very rewarding on the same thing, but that's most important for our business.
Relationships are everything in retail. They're everything if you want to grow your business, if you want to be a better person. 85% of your success in life is going to be how you treat people. It's 15% of knowledge, and I learned that a long time ago. If you're good to people, your business will thrive from it. If you're not good with people, your business will fail from it. And the one thing that I think anyone that's ever done business with me will tell you, that I do the right thing. I don't care what it takes me, what it costs me. If I make a mistake in real estate and something I promised doesn't get done by a contractor or whatever, I take care of it. If I say that, and so your word does mean everything to you, but the stronger your word is, the more that you are trustworthy and honest, the bigger your community is going to grow with relationships, because that's just, it is everything in life, not just business, but being just how you treat people. And I've always tried to be as fair and honest and no BS with me. I do like the BS, don't get me wrong, but I mean not BSing with people when it comes to building a relationship with them.
Do we have another question?
I actually have one. So I'm a nursing student here, and specifically I want to go into the ER. So I'm probably going to be seeing a lot of death myself, unfortunately, and a lot of unfortunate circumstances. So what's your advice on handling emotional burnout with handling people that are constantly grieving and going through the hardest moments in their lives?
Well, the point in our business and what you'll be doing as well is that you got to place yourself in their care and talk to them and get them to understand. Most importantly, you got to understand what they're going through as best you can, but you can't become part of the problem. You can't become involved. You've got to stay on this side. If you get involved and go with it all the way through them, then you're not doing anything for them at all. You're not part of the solution. You're part of the problem. So the key is just maintaining a balanced, healthy lifestyle, and being able to vent to someone, talk to someone. Luckily, in our business, in our funeral home, we all got along great. All of our partners did. We had great employees, and we still do. And they were all able to, if you can make light of something sometime, funny things you can. But it's just being. I think the biggest important thing is not to get involved in every little issue with that family. You've got to keep focused on getting through the process. And if you're a nurse, you're going to see everything in the entire world. And just remember, the end result is what you're trying to go for, and not get bogged down in all the minutia.
Do we have another question?
What do you do when you have a disagreement with an employee?
Shoot them. I think with us, hopefully that doesn't happen, and it doesn't happen very often. But I think the key is with that, any employee, these guys can tell you too, is you get that employee and you get separated from wherever the situation is. You don't want to be involved in front of the people, the public, or the employee with an issue. I mean, you've got to say, hey, let's just take this back in the office. We'll figure it out that way. And then you trying to realize what their issue is. What is their problem today, and how you can work through it. And if the problem is too big and it can't be fixed, then maybe it's time to do something else, is the issue. But you try to get them away from everybody else, because it does happen. People they get burnt out and they get upset. And so you try to find a way to get them to work through it. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it does. Most of the time it works. But it goes back to what Bubba said. If you try to hire well and get good people to work with you and for you, that usually takes care of itself.
Disagreements happen. I mean, mostly it's a disagreement of what time they should be at work and what time they need to leave work. But, the majority of disagreements that I come across with employees is something to do with time. It's something to do with being to work like you should on time, getting things done at work while you're there that you're supposed to be doing during the day, instead of sitting out back with 4 smoke breaks at 15 minutes apiece. But like Mark said, I never have disagreements with employees out in the open. It's always in my office. And I typically like to talk to them when nobody's at the office. And we try to work things out. I've fired a lot of people that 6 months later, a year later, they're coming back to me asking for their job back, because typically they know what they did was wrong. I don't lose my cool too much, hardly ever, but every once in a while I do. But I generally have a good reason to lose it. But I do try to keep it one-on-one, and you can either work something out with somebody or you don't work it out with somebody. And if you don't work things out, then you just move on. That's typically the way it works. But many a time people have come back to me after they've been gone for a year and want to know if they can have a job with us again. I have a pretty good work environment. I do not deal with drama at all. Drama is bad for an office, and it can be bad in any business you have. And so if you're a negative thinker, talker, you're not going to work for me very long.
All right, thank you. Do we have another question? Back up there, sorry.
So I got a question for all of you guys. What advice would you give to somebody who is looking to start a business? I'm talking from the ground up. Yeah, she, they want to start a business.
I think the most important thing for that is that you may want to do something. You may think you want to do this. I want to do this job. I've had other things like Bubba I've been involved in, did not work out. I mean, and I always look back and try to find out what I did wrong. And pretty much I always put too much of a personal side of it into it, whereas I should have gotten more advice and looked deeper and got more educated on whatever I was looking into. Because you really, really want something, you really, really want it, well, that's where your problem begins. Because you want it so bad, you're going to mess it up. I mean, and if you take your time and step back and say, listen, let me look at this issue or this thing I think is needed or wanted or I want this, most time you know it's not a good idea. And you say, let's think about this and then get other people's advice to do some research on what you're trying to do. And now with AI, my gosh, it's just so simple. Anybody can look into it. And the problem with that is you got to figure out what it is. And once you figure it out, I guarantee you most times it'll stop you. But the ones that do work out, now it's a great success. I mean, you just got to get through the process of figuring it out.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. I mean, you got to look at where you're trying to go. What's your drive? What's your ambition? Does it do the early mornings, the late nights, the sacrifice that it may take to get to that point? Are you willing to put in the work to get to that point? Or is it just a good idea on a Tuesday and don't want to really see it through? Because that's probably when most of them fail. If sounds like a good idea, but you're not really that invested in seeing the whole process work itself out.
Owning a business is a 7-day-a-week job. I mean, when I have people come to me all the time that have gotten their real estate license or fixing to get their real estate license, and they come to me and go, hey, Bubba, I want to sign up, I'm going to come on board. And I literally spend 20 minutes trying to talk them out of it. Because people think that we're in this business, that everyone just makes all this money and is working when they feel like it, and they're sadly mistaken by this industry. It takes hard work. You have to figure things out. 80% of real estate agents that get into real estate fail the first year, and then half of the ones that get into the second year fail. And it's because you think that you get your license and all of a sudden I'm just going to start selling real estate, and it doesn't work that way. You got to build relationships. You got to have people know that you're in the business. And, here's the thing. I ask people, okay, how much money are you making and what do you want to make in real estate? And then you got to break it down, because there's something to be said about a job, no offense, OTC, that you come into work 4 days, you're off Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, you go home, most of you have no issues. You don't receive phone calls at night or the next morning with problems. But when you own your own business, man, it's 24/7. And trust me, there's problems all of the time. Something goes wrong. Whether it's a fire alarm going off at Pine Needle Plantation, or a back door opening up at Whiskey Business where you got to go up there on Saturday night at 2 a.m. People get unhappy with something that you did. You have to make it right. And then how much am I going to make doing it? Because the bottom line is you should do it for freedom or for money. And, the money side of things, you have to surround yourself at the very beginning with a budget of a goal of what I want to make, how am I going to do this. Then you got to have your budget in place. Then you got to figure out how many of those widgets you got to sell to meet your overhead, and then you got to sell them. And so there's so much to it. If you get into business, you better surround yourself with a great attorney, a great accountant, and a great advisor that can help guide you. And you're going to have haters out there that don't tell you not to start your business. Don't do it. It's too much of a risk. But if you surround yourself with good people that can help guide you in the right direction, then you're halfway to success. But you do have to figure out how you're going to sell what you're getting into business to do. And it goes back to relationships. I mean, building those.
Thank you. Do we have any more questions?
What advice would you give a new entrepreneur on if they were deciding to do a purpose-based business or a profit-based business?
I've always been profit, so I'm not sure. I mean, you know, again, you just got, it's a lot of work. When you say purpose, you mean like
Like whatever you felt your purpose was. If you felt your purpose was to teach people how to play golf, so, or opening a liquor business.
I got you. I mean, so golf has been I'm still a real estate agent. That's what I do every day, and I got a part-time job at a golf shop. I go there early in the morning, late at night. But, you know, with that business, you have to build a large clientele, and it takes time if you're driving it off a purpose. You know, if you're trying to make this money off of lessons or renting a simulator, I'm assuming that's what you're talking about. But
I'm asking the question, so I own a business and my business is profit-based, right? But when you own a business for so long or you're in something for so long and it's not your purpose, at some point you lose your interest in it.
oh yeah,
But if you open something for purpose, I think business owners work harder if they believe in it, if that's their passion, if that's their purpose.
yeah.
I think you're right about that, because what we've done in our industry is that we made profit, we had employees, but we give back. We do a lot for our community. Like we have a scholarship at Get You Tech in the funeral service. We've got one at Georgia Southern. So I think to get to your purpose, if you get to make a profit, you have employees, and it gives you opportunity to do things for others. Like we've given a lot of money to all the hospices and stuff in Statesboro. We do a lot of that kind of stuff. So I think you can do it together. I think you've got to have both of those together to make it work. I mean, the best thing we did was the scholarship here in Georgia Southern, because it helps feed our industry and our people, and it helps people that we all know OTC is one of the best things that ever happened in Statesboro and Bullitt County in this area because of what they do for this community. I really believe that with all my heart. I served on the board for 9 years. I love everything this place does because it actually works people, that it trains people that we see every day. I mean, I've been there many times in the hospitals and nursing homes, whatever, and I'll go and they have the OTC pin on. I'm just proud as I could be when I see that, because that's an impact that helps us all. So back to your question, I think if you work both of them together, you can find your purpose. You just got to find out what's your niche. That's what I'm looking for, is how can I help people do that?
I think we have time for one more question.
Do you feel like your training, your technical training, or on-the-job training helped you prepare for your career? Try to get better.
Yeah.
I wish I had training. I always joke with people and tell them I got a PhD, and they go, really? And what? It's called the Pool Hall degree, the School of Hard Knocks, because that was all in my training. Does training help? Absolutely. I mean, if somebody, if they were here taking a class just on how to deal with people, I tell you, the book How to Win Friends and Influence People is probably one of the greatest books ever written. But it just gives you the education on how to deal with people. And that's the majority of it. I mean, all of mine are, the business I've had are just retail mostly, and not something like what Mark does or Josh does. But there's probably better questions for y'all that the training helps out. I'm sure it does.
Yeah, I mean, I think on the training side, absolutely. I mean, somebody that has training definitely is more appealing as an employee. But at the same time, we try to, if they do not have training or something, we help them partner with that. We're very involved with the high school systems, explaining to them what there is out there in construction, what that looks like, whether it be electrical, framing, HVAC. There's definitely a lot of involvement that the school provides that does help on the job.
I think with us, in terms of education, the most important thing that it does for us is that it gets those students to be able to pass the national boards. We have to have national boards passed in education and tests. State board and national board become a funeral director or licensed or embalmer. So that helps them get past that. Once they have a license, then their education begins on the job, because it's, you know, what they do to get licensed does help in the world, but what they do with us every day is how they get trained.
Thank you very much. That is all the time we have for today, so thank you very much to our panelists for joining us, and have a good afternoon.